The Query Workbench is the main user-facing software tool for conducting epidemiological studies within the TRANSFoRm framework. This short demonstration will cover the typical workflow within a study for counting eligible subjects, flagging sets of patients, and extracting data. So the protocol homepage shown here is a hub for all query-related user actions. There are three types of query: patient counts, flagging patient sets, and extracting data. The expected workflow is a collaborative creation of a suitable eligibility criteria, multiple query submissions to get patient counts, flagging of a patient set, defining data to extract, and submitting data extract queries based on a flagged patient set. So the Count Patients tab allows us to create a new eligible patient count query based on a protocol's eligibility criteria. Flagged Patients uses a similar submission process to identify a set of patients to use when extracting data. The Extract Data tab allows us to define extract queries by setting which data items to extract and any constraints. Queries based on these definitions can be submitted to the distributed infrastructure as data extract queries. One of the features of the Query Workbench is that it now exclusively uses CDIM artifacts when building query objects. This can be seen in the updated eligibility criteria definition. So if I add a criteria, here you can see a predefined list of CDIM artifacts, each of which contains CDIM attributes with a specific CDIM identifier. So selecting a laboratory measurement, the artifact attributes follow CDIM naming conventions and now allowing for multiple code-based attributes. So returning to the protocol, I can create a new eligible patient count query. Submitting a patient count query involves selecting an eligibility criteria to use, the data sources to query, and a data quality tool ID. The eligibility criteria shown in the drop-down is the most recently edited, although the user can select previous versions. At least one data source must be selected before the query can be submitted. The data quality tool is integrated by setting the data quality tool ID produced when the user clicks Request Patient Records in the data quality tool. The data quality tool is a separate web application which we link to from the Query Workbench. So if I've been sent to the data quality tool, received my data quality tool ID, I can enter it here. So on submission, the query has now been submitted to the TRANSFoRm distributed infrastructure. If I go back to the protocol, you can see the new patient count query has been submitted and has a status at middleware. To show the results of a previous query, you can click on the View link next to that query. This query has been submitted and the results have been returned. The total count of 1,341 reflects the number of patients that match this eligibility criteria. So returning to the protocol homepage, we can flag patients, which is a very similar process to patient counts. So I can create a new flag patient set, select an eligibility criteria, data source similar to last time, enter a data quality tool ID, and submit a flagged patient set query. So looking at the list of query results, you can see here my two eligible patient count queries and my eligible patient set queries. So this is a patient set 17 and patient set 56. 17 has been completed. So we can now use this flagged patient set when running data extract queries. So returning to View Protocol, we'll step through the two stages required to extract data. So first of all, you have to define a data extract definition. So if you have a look at this one, you can see one that's previously been created. You define the general properties, the data to extract, and any constraints on those data items. So the data items to extract are defined by the same CNIM artifacts used in eligibility criteria. So you can see here along the top the data we wish to extract, and on the bottom here you can see the constraint. So in this case we only want to return HbA1c results. We're also extracting the date of birth, which in CNIM terminology is a human birth instance. So once the data extract definition has been created, we can run a data extract query. So similar to eligibility criteria and flag patient sets, we have a set of properties here. First of all, we choose the data extract definition, which is our previously defined one. Then we choose a patient set, in this case 17, and then we choose a data source. If we click Submit Query, this data extraction query is submitted to the distributed infrastructure. So if you go back to the protocol, we can see here that our recently submitted query is status at middleware. If I click on a previously completed data extract query, we can see here that the outcome is FTP. This is that outcome returned by the TRANSFoRm distributed infrastructure, which indicates that the data is available for collection by the user from an external source.